Ladies and gentlemen, hello, welcome, and thank you for joining us today. We are here for the July edition for Bowling State of the Brands. In this video, in this presentation, what we are going to be doing is going through all of the bowling ball companies, checking out the bowling balls they have in production right now, and then the statistics on all of them, their average prices, what way the bowling ball companies are leaning in terms of angular bowling balls versus smooth bowling balls, and some predictions we can make for the next couple of months. If you enjoy what we do here, to help me pay for more suit coats, I'd really appreciate a subscription. That is the absolute best way to help support the channel and help us continue to make videos just like this one. This is going to be a very in-depth video, very analytical, so strap in and I hope you enjoy. Let's go over the agenda to kick us off today. First of all, we're going to start with Motive Bowling, looking at what they have in production right now in their statistics. Moving on to the Brunswick brands, the 7 brands of Brunswick. After that, moving on to Storm Products International, and that will be Storm, Rotogrip, and 900 Global. Finally, we are going to look at the totals of all of these companies, putting them together and comparing them against each other. Finally, a conclusion based on what we first found in February. Have those questions been answered? And then now what we should look forward to for the 2025 and 26 league season. First of all, like I mentioned, let's begin with Motive Bowling. Motive Bowling has actually narrowed down their bowling ball list as of right now. They only have 17 bowling balls in production. Looking at the bowling balls they have a lot of very strong bowling balls with already 5 strong and smooth bowling balls in production. They only have 2 strong and sharp balls that have not been discontinued. So very, very surprising to see what they have in the market right now. If you look at the Motive Ball Guide, they have a very large gap in their benchmark category and in their strong and sharp category. This is something that I'm expecting to be filled sooner rather than later. They've really focused on their really strong equipment and their really weak equipment. So if you want to take a screenshot of this, I highly recommend it. Otherwise, I will have this information out in my Discord as well. But let's go and look at what they have for their totals. Now, we are comparing February of 25 to July of 25. We've made this video like this once before, so let's compare those numbers to now. Some of the very important things, their average price has actually decreased. They are the only company where the price has dropped. Most of that is due to discontinued bowling balls and them releasing cheaper equipment, lower end equipment. They haven't lowered their prices. They're just not releasing as much really strong equipment. So a little bit surprising to see they got rid of a lot of the really strong and expensive stuff. But then looking at some of the other categories, ironically, they have more asymmetrical balls than symmetricals on the market. They actually discontinued a lot of symmetricals that were very pricey. Kind of surprising. And then they added to their bottom category. So right now, they have 47% of their balls being symmetrical balls, 53% being asymmetrical. Looking down the list, their average release date is actually August of 2023. This is a new field that I added to be able to help showcase what are bowling companies getting rid of balls too quickly and which ones are getting rid of them fastest. Motive is known to discontinue stuff slower than everybody else on the market, and this average release date really helps showcase that. The only ball they have that's really lowering this by a lot of years are the Venom Shock and the Jackal Ghost as outliers. Final 2 categories that I added from February are the number of dull bowling balls versus number of shiny bowling balls. This is a really fun one for me because a lot of bowling balls come shiny, but should they be shiny? So Motive actually is really falling into this. 11 of their 17 bowling balls come with polish on it or at 4,000 plus grit. They've come polished, which is crazy to me. That is a very high number. So Motive is trying to get that shelf appeal and trying to make more angular ball motion. This is a very interesting one. Motive changed their tune a little bit in the last couple of months. But that is all we have for Motive Bowling. We'll get back to them in just a second. But next, let's go over to the brands of Brunswick. We have fixed up our document just a little bit, so it's actually legible. Again, I recommend a screenshot or a screen capture of this page to be able to see what they have in production. They have over 60 bowling balls on the market right now. We split them up into 3 different categories. I should have mentioned this has the ball name. Is the ball asymmetrical or symmetrical? The category based on what we use for the channel, 1 being strong and smooth category, 2 being strong and sharp, 3 being medium smooth, 4 being medium sharp, 5 being weak smooth, 6 being weak sharp, and 7 being urethane, something that we don't have to talk about very much in this video, which is something we'll talk about at the end as well. But looking at it, they have a lot of bowling balls in production, more than they had in February, which is surprising because we are in the summer months. However, they did just announce 10 new bowling balls for the rest of summer, so that always has a part into it. Let's look at their totals though. Looking at the Brunswick totals, in February, their average price was $162. This number has actually jumped up to $167. Part of this is because they have raised their prices in the last couple of months. This could potentially be due to tariffs, as we predicted a couple of months ago, or it could be because they're releasing more strong equipment compared to weaker equipment. Could be a little mixture of both. Looking at their average category, it has actually decreased, so they are releasing stronger bowling balls right now compared to the weaker ones they were in February. So even though they're releasing stronger equipment, the price is going up. However, their asymmetrical versus symmetrical percentage has decreased. It was 50-50, leading the brands in February. It has now dropped. 46% are asymmetrical and 54% are symmetrical. This is a really good sign. I personally think there need to be more symmetrical balls compared to asymmetricals on the market. Then with those three new categories, as everyone pretty much knows, Brunswick discontinues bowling balls faster than anybody else in the world, and their average release date is November of 24. This is crazy, absolutely wild number compared to the other two companies because they really don't have many balls that have been in production for a long time. The Purple Hammer is about the only one that's been in production for a couple of years. The rest of them are very new bowling balls. The number of dull versus shiny balls, pretty similar to what Motive had. 26 dull, 37 shiny, total of 63 total bowling balls from the brands of Brunswick. They are trying to choke out the competition in terms of having more quantity of bowling balls on the market, but that leads to more bowling balls getting discontinued at a quicker pace. Brunswick is in a very interesting spot with their 7 brands. I wasn't sure if their number of releases would increase or decrease in the next couple of months, and it looks like it is increasing. They're actually raising the number of releases that they're going through month after month. It started out slow at the beginning of the year, but now it's really ramped up in the last couple of months. Now that we're done with Brunswick, let's go to the Storm brand, Storm Products International. They have many less bowling balls, actually 1/3 of the bowling balls, or 1/2 of the bowling balls that Brunswick has right now. 30 total is what they have. Looking at them right now, their prices haven't really gone up a little bit. However, they have a lot more asymmetrical bowling balls because they have a lot of weak bowling balls that are asyms, which is a very surprising thing. The Origin EX, the Ion Pro, and the Ion Pro Solid all fit into this category, being asymmetrical balls, but being very, very weak. Again, I recommend screen capturing this page. For the Road Warrior and the Level, remember the Level is $190. The Road Warrior is $160. So let's look at their totals, the stuff that truly matters. We have a strong increase in price from Storm over the last couple of months. They have raised their prices by $7 on average. Now, this again could be because they're releasing stronger equipment, but their category number shows that they're releasing weaker equipment. So even though they're releasing weaker equipment, the price is going up. This is something that we see, like, again, with the Ion Pros retailing at $200, the Level at $190, the Origin EX at $200. Their overall prices haven't really gone up. They're releasing just more expensive equipment as a whole. They're not releasing the $140 bowling balls like that Typhoon very often. But then looking at their percentage of ASIMs versus SIMs, they're in a fantastic 63% of their balls being symmetrical and then 37% being asymmetrical. This is a very good number. Storm is known to make weaker equipment more often. Now, Brunswick in the last section in February had 1 bowling ball in the weak and smooth category. They've actually increased this a little bit, where Storm is continuing to increase their weak bowling ball numbers. It's really good to see. Looking at their number of dull versus shiny, Storm actually has the most dull bowling balls at 15 with 15 shiny balls. Their percentage is better than anybody else on the market, being even between dull and shiny. Storm is really stepping away from being the skid snap company that we all knew them to be 5, 10, even 15 years ago. They're going more towards being more performance-based, trying to be more towards tournament bowlers and what bowlers need. But overall, we did see a little bit of an increase in asymmetrical versus symmetrical balls from them. But with that, that is a little bit on all 3 of the companies that are out right now. Let's check out some totals from them all. What we have on this page is the total number of bowling balls from every single company. their average prices versus the total price among all of the brands, percentage of asymmetrical balls, symmetrical balls, percentage of dull versus shiny bowling balls. These are some very interesting numbers. Overall, some things that you can take away from this. Motive only has 17 balls in production, insanely low compared to the other companies. Brunswick is almost at 50 more bowling balls than Motive. Motive's 60-day release windows or 45-day release windows for their bowling balls is really setting them behind in terms of amount of balls in production. The interesting thing with Motive bowling balls, they have not made a new bowling ball in almost a year. By new bowling ball, I mean a new cover with a new core. That has not happened in a year. That is an absolutely crazy, crazy number. Brunswick is also not creating much new for bowling balls. They're not creating new cores very often. They're grabbing their old cores and putting new covers on them. Storm is really leading the way in terms of new cores on their bowling balls. But Motive is really lacking right now in that department. They're just reusing old stuff and slapping new cover stocks on it, which is interesting with them still having very few bowling balls. But looking at it, as we know, Motive is much more expensive than everybody else. Brunswick is now the cheapest, with Storm being a little bit behind them. Very interesting in that front. Overall, less asymmetrical balls on the market, more symmetrical balls, unless you're talking to Motive. Motive has way more asymmetrical balls. Now, I believe I did not fix their numbers on that. Apologies looking at that. Let's look at a little bit more totals. This is going to be the total of every single category of bowling ball that we use for our scale. So strong, smooth, all the way down to urethane. Some interesting numbers here. Brunswick has 1 billion strong and smooth bowling balls, and Storm has only 2. They have the RST Hyperdrive and they have the Ion Max, and that is it. Very surprising. I'm expecting we're going to see a new one from them sometime in the near future. Otherwise, Motive just does not have many bowling balls. 5 strong smooth, 4 medium smooth, a lot of big dull bowling balls, even though their shiny percentage of bowling balls is higher than Storm. Very interesting. But then Brunswick just has a lot of everything. They finally have 3 weak and smooth bowling balls, but in the process got rid of 2 of their urethane-like bowling balls. They're now only down to the purple hammer and the black hammer. Storm is down to the pitch black and the IQ 78. Motive has nothing. Now, why are there less urethanes on the market? This is a very interesting question we'll get into when we have our conclusions. But overall, 110 bowling balls on the market right now, all the way through August. This is everything we know about for bowling balls until September comes around. Every company has announced what they're releasing in August, except for Motive, which means they'll probably only release it in September. So some very interesting numbers here. Still a lot of bowling balls on the market today. Brunswick trying to choke out the competition. But with that, let's talk about some conclusions that we've seen. These are our conclusions from our February episode. This is what we noticed, and let's see, did they actually succeed in fixing these problems? So, more weak and smooth balls were needed. Yes, there are more than there were back in February. Brunswick has released a couple more. Storm has really solidified this area. So there are more weak bowling balls on the market. That is an awesome, awesome thing because more and more people need weaker bowling balls with more bowlers being rev dominant. Next, less asymmetrical balls from Brunswick. While they didn't decrease their number, they did increase the number of symmetrical balls. So that was a good sign. It's not just the Scorpion Strike as a good medium sharp ball anymore. There are others, which is very, very good. Kudos to Brunswick on that front. And then overall, more urethanes from Motive and Storm. This actually went backwards. There are actually now less urethanes on the market today than there were in February. So let's look at our conclusions from June. So we answered all of those questions in February. What does June look like? What are my questions? What are my asks? What are the bowling community's asks? Well, first of all, more balls from Motive. Motive needs to release more stuff. 17 bowling balls is tough. They're starting to have bigger and bigger gaps between their equipment. The bad equipment is not getting discontinued as quickly. We need more bowling balls from them to be able to sustain bowlers, to be able to not have bowlers stray to other companies. They need to get to at least 20. They need at least 20 balls on the market at all times. Next, more skid snap asymmetricals from Storm. While Storm has a lot of strong, sharp bowling balls, they have the Equinox, they have the Origin, they have the Attention Star. They do not have much for the strong and sharp category for being skid snap. That was something that Storm was really good at, is having that really angular reaction down lane. they aren't really doing that right now. They are actually failing in that regard a little bit. They did release the High Road 40. That was a sign, a movement in the right direction, but we do need a few more. We need a medium sharp ball to be like that. We need that new Ember to be a lot more angular than something like a Phase AI. And then we also need like something like an Identity, but that is actually not limited release and not a money grab in any way. Next, we need less overlap from Brunswick as a whole. They just have too many bowling balls on the market. There's a lot of them that get snuffed out and a lot of balls that are really good that just get ignored because there's too many. That is a big issue, especially in the strong and sharp category. They had over 10 bowling balls there, and a lot of them are very, very similar. A lot of really shiny, really angular hybrids. So I think we need less in that category and more in the weaker categories from them yet. Finally, are urethanes disappearing? There are 4 urethanes on the market right now with no word of any new urethanes coming into production. Are they getting banned by the PBA? Is that why we're seeing this? They just still are not releasing anything. Very weird. It's been a year and a half since the last urethane was released. And that was only because the PBA banned softer urethanes. This is weird. I don't know what's going on here. I haven't heard any rumors yet, but I'm curious to see what the fate of urethane looks like going into the 25 and 26 season. Could they get banned by everybody? Maybe. There's a chance. We're not really sure. No one has really spoken up about it, but it's just odd that the bowling ball companies are not making anything. They have more insider knowledge than us, so very, very odd. But with that, overall, thank you guys all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this state of bowling for the summer of 2025. We'll be coming out with another one in October or November, looking at what new releases there are and have the companies changed in any way. If you guys enjoy these kinds of videos, again, make sure to drop a subscription. It's the best way to support the channel. While I don't have any ZVL suit coats quite yet, I do have ZVL merch down below in the description. We have hoodies, crew necks, and t-shirts from Bowler Store. Shout out Bowler Store. Make sure to get all of your online products from them. They're an incredible place. Some of the nicest people I've ever worked with. So please go check them out. Otherwise, I really hope you guys enjoyed this state of bowling. Thank you for watching. I will see you on the next one.